Alex opens the investing app and sees $100,000. After years of making the transfers and doing the heavy lifting, this is supposed to be the moment the money takes over. But Alex is still adding $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year. At an illustrative 6%, the existing $100,000 adds only $6,000. So the famous crossover is nowhere near Alex's actual line. Today, we will find that line, explain why better savers receive a higher number, and test what happens if Alex treats it like a finish. This is general educational information, not financial advice, and every return shown is an illustrative net assumption rather than a forecast. There are two workers building this portfolio. Alex supplies the new contributions. The money already invested supplies the growth. The crossover is where the second worker is expected to add more over the next 12 months than Alex adds directly. That gives us a clean planning shortcut. Annual contributions divided by the assumed net annual return. At $500 a month, Alex contributes $6,000 a year. $6,000 divided by 6% gives an approximate crossover of $100,000. At $1,000 a month, the annual contribution doubles to $12,000, so the crossover doubles to $200,000. At $2,000 a month, Alex adds $24,000 a year, and the line moves to $400,000. That is the headline answer. Under the same 6% illustration, three perfectly reasonable saving rates produce three very different milestones. And one myth can disappear immediately. Compounding did not wait for any of those balances before starting. It was working from the first invested dollar. The crossover only marks the point where its expected annual contribution becomes larger than Alex's. No switch suddenly turns on at $100,000. One worker simply becomes large enough to stand visibly beside the other. That can feel punishing. Alex saves more, yet the supposed goalpost moves further away. But the crossover is not measuring whether Alex is succeeding. It is measuring which worker is currently adding more. A portfolio only needs to earn $6,000 to overtake someone contributing $500 a month. It needs to earn $24,000 to overtake someone contributing $2,000. The stronger saver forces the portfolio to become much larger before it wins the comparison. Now for the useful surprise. Starting from zero and keeping the same smooth 6% assumption, all three versions of Alex reach their own scaled crossover after approximately 11 years and 9 months. $500 a month reaches roughly $100,000. $1,000 reaches $200,000. $2,000 reaches $400,000. Double the contribution, and both the balance path and the target double with it. The dollar milestone changes. The approximate journey does not. That result assumes a zero starting balance and the same return throughout. Someone already partway there will have a different timeline. But it exposes the flaw in comparing crossover balances without comparing contribution rates. The larger number can belong to the person making faster progress. The contribution is only half the equation. Keep Alex at $500 a month and move the return assumption. At 4%, the crossover is $150,000. At 6%, $100,000. At 8%, $75,000. In the smooth model, that is a journey from zero of about 17 and a half years at 4%, compared with just under 9 years at 8. The spreadsheet makes the higher return look like an easy shortcut. Real life does not offer a return dial with a guarantee attached. Here, net return means the illustrative effective rate, left compounding after investment fees, and whatever tax drag applies, but before inflation. It is not a claim that an ETF, super option, or other investment will deliver that number. Higher return investments can carry greater risk. Fees and Australian tax treatment can also change the amount left working, including when similar investments are held in different structures. So the return should be a sensitivity, a range used to test the result, not one heroic forecast used to manufacture a satisfying answer. There is an even stranger consequence. The crossover is not a badge Alex earns once and keeps forever. Suppose Alex reaches $100,000 while contributing $500 a month. Under our 6% illustration, the workers are level. Then Alex increases the contribution to $1,000 a month. The portfolio has not gone backwards, but the crossover immediately moves to $200,000. Alex drops below the line by saving more. If contributions later fall, the line moves back the other way. Notice what a crossed or not crossed badge would get wrong. Alex can lose the badge by increasing contributions, even while building the larger balance faster. The status appears to worsen only because the underlying saving effort improved. That is why the crossover is better understood as a live relationship. Income changes it. Contributions change it. The effective return changes it. A fixed badge cannot describe moving inputs. And then the market breaks the neat line completely. At $100,000, a smooth 6% illustration gives $6,000 of growth, the same as Alex contributes at $500 a month. But in an illustrative negative 20% year, the opening portfolio falls by $20,000 before allowing for the timing of new contributions. In a positive 20% year, it adds $20,000. Alex can cross the planning line and still have a year when growth does not merely lose to contributions, it runs backwards. The portfolio becomes the larger worker in both directions. As its balance grows, market movements can contribute more than Alex, and they can remove more than Alex is able to replace that year. That does not make the crossover useless. It changes what the result means. This is an expected relationship built from an assumed rate, not an anniversary after which every year behaves itself. And these are nominal dollars. Inflation still reduces what future dollars can buy. The crossover identifies which worker added more dollars. It does not guarantee their future purchasing power. Now return to the question opened at the start. What happens if Alex treats the crossover like a finish? Start with $100,000 and keep the same smooth 6% illustration for another 10 years. With no further contributions, the balance reaches approximately $179,000. If Alex continues adding $500 a month, it reaches approximately $260,000. The difference is about $81,000. $60,000 is the additional money Alex contributed. Roughly $21,000 is growth earned by those later contributions. Both paths are smooth illustrations rather than forecasts. Their job is to isolate what continued contributions add under the same return assumption, not to predict Alex's balance 10 years from now. Compounding did not replace saving. It started compounding the new saving as well. That is the real handover. Early on, most progress comes from Alex. Later, the existing portfolio may become the larger worker, but every new contribution joins that portfolio and receives time to grow too. The crossover changes the balance of effort. It does not turn one worker off. So, when does money grow faster than Alex can save? At $500 a month and an illustrative 6% net return. The planning answer is approximately $100,000. At $1,000 a month, it is $200,000. At $2,000, $400,000. Change the return, contribution, or starting position, and the answer moves again. The first $100,000 can still be meaningful. It is often the first point where the portfolio's contribution becomes visible beside the person's. but there is no universal switch hidden inside it. The useful question is not whether somebody else's magic number has been reached. It is how much work is coming from new contributions, how much is coming from money already invested, and which assumptions are holding that comparison together. If you want Australian money decisions tested with real numbers instead of magic milestones, subscribe to the Next Dollar Australia. The free calculator below will run the same two-worker test, using a current balance, monthly contribution, and illustrative net return. And for the other half of the story, where Australians actually stand at 30, 35, and 40, the benchmark video is on screen now.